standards, and it's going to be a government and private sector dialogue. So we have four very experienced guys to join with me this afternoon. We really appreciate those who are still visiting the booth. If you could take a seat so that we proceed with this session. For those who are still viewing the booth, we would really appreciate if you can take your seat so that we can proceed with this session. Thank you.
I can't see people are still standing up. Can we grab our seats so that we can proceed? And I beg for your attention as well. Please, for those who are still on the booth, please come back to your seat. And for those who are still outside, I would really appreciate if you can come back in the room. Executive team from TOHASA, you can help me go out and bring the attendees back to the conference. Again, I emphasize that for those who are still in booth, please come back to your seat. Over to you, Manyanda. We out of time. We got to get it done. Karib.
Okay, thank you so much. As I said before, our session this afternoon, it's a panel discussion involving four very experienced professionals. We're going to be talking about implementation of health and safety standards, and it's a government-private dialogue. It's going to be for like 45 minutes. So without wasting time, I'd like to invite the first gentleman. He's a very experienced guy. He has worked for more than 32 years at Oryx as a HSC manager. He started establishing management system for this organization from scratch all the way to where it is an organization right now. He has recently retired, but he's still working as a HSCQ consultant. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Issa Mombasi. He is a retired manager, but he's not retired. Thank you so much, Issa. I'm so happy to have you here this afternoon. And again, I also like to welcome a good friend of mine, a gentleman who has worked for a couple of decades in different sectors. He has worked in oil and gas, in mining, in consulting. He's one of the most popular manager on LinkedIn. He has been awarded several times through different platforms. He's really one of the most resourceful experts we've had in this region. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Alex Kasengo. So these two gentlemen, one of the most people I really respect. They have been part of my career in so many ways. So thank you so much, Alex and Issa. Then again, we have our very good friend from Uganda. He's a long experienced HSC manager. But at the moment also he's serving as president of the Uganda Health and Safety Association. He's one of the most wonderful person. He really likes to share experience. He's a really resourceful person. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Edgar Kaijoke. We were supposed to have a representative from OSHA, but unfortunately, beyond some of the reasons that I cannot explain, he's not joining us this afternoon. So allow me to welcome the fourth panelist. He's a QHC manager. He's working for American Tower Corporation. He's based in Uganda. He's one of another very experienced guy in terms of health and safety, particularly to management systems and standards. He's a lead auditor. He's a really experienced management systems developer. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Norman. Thanks so much, Norman, for making your way to Dar es Salaam. Well, I think without wasting any time, gentlemen, don't say that I'm biased because there's no woman here. I'm not biased, I'm just moderating. So whoever picked the panelists, then that's your problem. So, gentlemen, I'm going to start throwing some questions to you. And I think I'll start with Mr. Alex Kasengo. Alex, you've been working in this region for many years. You've worked for big organizations, Barrick, Shell, APROC, and many others, just a few to mention. I just want to ask you one question. You know, many African companies, they view occupational health and safety as a cost rather than an investment. So my question is, how can private sector be convinced to see workplace safety as a driver of productivity and long-term profitability?
Thank you very much, the moderator. Actually, for this question, there are a few things. One of them is these companies lack more information. For example, if we had given them the real examples, you guys know what happened in the Gulf of Mexico, where one of the oil and gas company had a massive spill. You know what happened and what was the result. So if our companies can be told what happened, you know, that impacted the company. You know, they ended up selling some of their operations. So it can happen to many other companies. And again, the other thing is they see that as a cost. Let me take an example in Tanzania. If we were having statistics, how many people are dying from work-related activities, like you are doing in malaria, like what our regional police commander are doing weekly or monthly, telling us how many people have been killed. And if we had those statistics, work-related, I think you can see the change and the impact. And also, lastly, maybe our roles also, they are not that strong. You guys, some of you have been in different countries where the CEO is jailed. Someone died on site, the CEO goes to jail, and the company ends up paying huge amount of fines. So if that happened here, I think there will be the change. Thank you.
So maybe to add, thank you so much, Mr. Alex. So for some of the students who are here today, and those who are starting their journey in health and safety, maybe they would want to understand if they are to take key items, 1 or 2 items as an action item, how can they change the situation, the perception that health and safety is a cost rather than an investment?
I think students should understand we have 3 key elements. Why should we manage safety? And one of them being legal or moral, let's say. How do we feel when we use someone? For example, you are the father and you don't go back home and your children cannot go to school. No one can bring something on the table. You know, we Africans have extended families. Your uncle's brother is your relative, isn't it? So it goes that way. So what will be the impact now? Ask them that moral question. It will help a lot. And again, legal, as I said, because if you kill people, you end up paying insurances, but sometimes a lot of things will happen between family and family because you killed someone's brother. So it can turn into something, into enmity where people can kill each other. So it's very, very important to ensure that we have the moral responsibility of protecting people. So for me, you need to take away this one. The life changes when someone dies. It won't be the same again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alex. Maybe I should take the same question to Mr. Edgar. What do you think health and safety professionals should do to transform this perception that, which is most of the times viewed by non-OHS practitioners, that OHS is just a cost issue to the business and not an investment?
Okay, thank you very much. If I ask, how many of us here are sales people? By show of hands. How many of us are HSE safety professionals? So what are you selling? Because you're selling safety, right? In your workplaces. And I would answer it in a way that it is just cost-benefit analysis. We professionals, are you able to do a cost-benefit analysis for your employer or for the person out there to know why safety is important in the business? Because that's where, that is the underlying issue. You have to be able to show that actually you're saving, because a businessman is interested in profit. Yeah. So, if you're showing that you're only taking the money and you're not saving anything, then they will be able to do what? Not to take safety very serious. But you will look into these areas. You look at the cost of accidents. And if accidents happen, what you would lose. And if they didn't happen, what is the benefit to the company? You look at it in the area of compliance. If you're not complying, there are penalties. But if you're complying, you avoid those penalties, isn't it? But there is a reputation which comes with complying. Then look at productivity. Productivity, you're looking, it looks into entire safety because it has to do with OSH, but also wellness and well-being. If you do not give a priority to people, to your workers, then they are more likely to be absent, to get injuries, and you're losing. So in the long term, what are you gaining? You will see that the return on investment in the safety investment is actually sustainable. Yep. Because all companies, if you have done a lot of research, me, I'm a good researcher, you will see that companies have collapsed because of the systems that they have not put in place, especially safety. So that is enough to convince these people that actually safety is a good business. So if you are a professional and you're not able to sell safety to your workers, to your employers, to management, then there is a problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edgar. I think that's really well narrated. It's quite a very clear message that you have to sell health and safety as a health and safety professional. So, Mr. Edgar, one of the other challenges that we have, especially in African countries, many African countries have very good, I would say, health and safety policies on paper, and sometimes copy-pasted from other countries. But when you look in terms of the enforcement, it's always a bit questionable. What do you think, or in terms of steps that the government should do to make these policies and procedures practical?
Yeah, thank you very much. Me, I've worked in private sector, I've worked for government, I'm now doing my own business. So I've really seen how hard it is. And what are the reasons also, for example, to have those policies when you are in government? If I remember very well, I will give you in a case of Uganda. The Occupational Safety and Health Act of 2006 was actually brought about because of AGOA. Uganda wanted business to the US and they asked them, do you have? So they did. And after they left, yeah, because you've done what they want, but you do not have a strategy for implementation. Okay? So first of all, is there a clear strategy? It starts with the review of the framework and guidance. Secondly, you got funding. I can tell you that the DOSH in Uganda is the least funded department. And that is not only in Uganda, you will find even in Tanzania and Kenya and all these other places. You will find it is the same. Because we believe that this OSH thing is actually the first thing, the people said OSH thing was brought by the whites and the what. That is what they first believed. Until when catastrophe comes, then you know that actually you also need to be part of it. Then, the funding also goes with human resource. For example, if I give statistics of Uganda, it is very bad. 25 inspectors, they have to work in 40,000 workplaces, and how will you achieve that? So, you can see that the funding, the budgeting process does not include it. So we need to do and lobby. But lobbying, we have to show the cause. If we are here and talking as professionals and we are not able to sell safety, then there is no way government will be interested. I can tell you. We are the ones to make sure that the government gets interested and put funding for OSH. We have to showcase when people die at work. We have to show that we are concerned when people get injuries at work. And I think that is the reason we have some of these good in oil and gas, because they have learned from incidents that have happened, because it is costing them. So to me, I believe that the funding is a key thing, but also training, capacity building, I also believe it is key, because you realize that enforcement, not everyone who is there as an inspector actually know they know the right thing to do. And also there is the part of awareness. You have laws. So what? Because if you make a policy in your workplace and you do not disseminate it, what have you done? So the government also has a responsibility to disseminate the laws that they have made so that the employers understand them, and even other stakeholders, so that they are able to force that. But also I believe that there is a need for regular inspections, which are actually lacking in governments, and it is one way that is affecting. But also we need to use technology, especially in reporting, because you realize that in East Africa we don't have data when it comes to health and safety. I was doing my research and I wanted to do something, then I started ending up, you find, when you go on the internet or anywhere, you find the research is, the data is for US, UK. What is happening in Africa? Where do we put our data? So we need I saw these people talking about this AI and everything and what. Why can't we use them to to have data? Because when people report incidents, because even they can be whistleblowers, they can be what, that is all reporting. If we are able to have this information, then it makes it easy for also government to know what is happening. But some of these incidents happen and the government is not aware. Some of the things happen in workplaces and they are never aware. So we need to, I believe that could lead to a dramatic change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edgar, for sharing that experience. As I said before, Edgar is a very wonderful guy in terms of sharing knowledge and the experience. Thank you so much, Edgar. I'm going to pose a very general question to my brother, Mr. Issa. My question is very general. Who should be responsible for health and safety improvement? Is it private sector? Is it government? Or what do you think?
Thank you, moderator. Before hitting skies, allow me to explore the basics. Because I believe after that, then we can easily understand and then see who should actually lead. I'll be talking basics from two premises. One premise is about the OSH concept itself, that it is working on the human aspect of this world and all that happens in our life sectors. And then in this case, thank you for the comment that came immediately before lunch, that there are sectors that we think they are the ones for which we have this forum, but actually it is something that is for all parts of activities in the normal human life, from a mother cooking in the kitchen to what we do in our offices and operations. From the peasantry, from animal husbandry, to actually what we call the formal sectors. Because much as economy is economy, but sectors can be formal and can be informal. We focus much on the formal sectors, and then we neglect these informal sectors. We neglect the borders, we neglect the cowboys, we neglect our mothers cooking in the kitchen, we neglect almost everybody. So basically, this is the first premise, that OSH concept is about the human aspect of this living. Premise number two is about life. I used to say this, there is only one life, that is me. Before I was born, there was no that life called me. And after I die, that life won't be there. So there is only one life that everybody is having, myself and your neighbor and everybody else. So with these two premises, we come down to two issues. One is morals, and two is values. These organizations, the OSH and everything, is about somewhere around the human history. We ran out of morals and values. The OSH organization is an outcome of actually the human content being so mistreated to the extent that we now have April 28th as the World OSH Day, because we have in history that the human content was mistreated and was seen to be like a tool that I can damage it today and tomorrow I go around and pick another one and life goes on. So now with the issues of morals and values, that's where now comes an issue of the morals and the values that are as old as mankind itself, which had been the basis of what now we call laws. Some are written, we call laws, some are not, and then we live with them. So basically, in the first place, with morals and values, we can always identify them to a specific individuals. We can define the conduct of an individual and say we can go with this kind of morals and values, and with this we just can't go. Now businesses are all about people. Are all about people, and there is the place that everything is happening in this world. From the mamantilia who makes buns, who cooks food for the clients, to our big companies that we provide goods and services. So to me, businesses should be where we actually insist on morals and values, so that businesses should actually be the cause for the OHS improvement, because that's where we actually make this world be what it is. We talk of drones, we talk of IT kits, we talk of everything because something happened in those businesses that brought this camera, it brought this bottle of water, it brought that red cape, it brought everything that you use here. So it's where we should actually put much emphasis, as businesses are what are actually shaping this world. It makes life to this world. From small one-man business to the big industries. Now, with the government, is there is an instrument that now moderates or kind of regulates regulate these businesses through making these laws. The issue is, should laws be strict enough to ensure that we are there to see OHS improvement? To me, a strict law is never good enough to bring changes. It is only a friendly law that is actually enacted through a consultative and participatory processes of all stakeholders involved. The OSH law, for example, it is 22 years old in this country, but then that was an outcome of a tripartite involvement of employers, workers' associations, and the government. So the law that is being enacted through active involvement of stakeholders is actually the law that can easily be implemented on the ground and bring changes that is required. So to me, they should both take the lead. No one should be left behind. We just can't depend on the government to make sure that things happen, nor can we think that businesses alone are enough to bring OSH improvements. It is the two together. Businesses trying to build morals and values that everybody should actually emulate and take on board, but government should, on the part, bring into place friendly laws that can actually make businesses flourish, and they can be as friendly as stakeholders themselves, businesses want. We talk of, say, an OSH law that would deploy inspectors at the workplace, do inspection and charge fees. And then tomorrow we've got the fire inspectors that will come and charge fees. And then day after there can be public health inspectors. They all charge fees that goes into the cost of running our organizations. And finally, where does that cost get absorbed to? It is the final user of our products and services. So at the end of the day, it is the economy that will finally suffer. So in my opinion, dear moderator, it is both should take the lead and each should play its role effectively. Governments as policymakers and businesses building now morals and values, because safety is something that we take home. We bring home two things as a workforce. We take home salaries at the end of the month, but we take home safety on a constant and daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you clap hands for Mr. Issa? I really appreciate your contribution, Mr. Issa. Just in less than 30 seconds, Mr. Alex, who do you think should take lead? The government, private sector? Can you use your mic, please?
The thing is, okay. For me, I can say charity begins at home. For example, when we come to individuals or private sectors. So we should start it by ourselves. Then, after doing that, then now we can take it to the public. What I'm trying to say, we need to say when you're at home, the government cannot come to look after the safety and health of your family. It's you. You start it, then you move out, take it somewhere else. But also the government can do that through many issues, including providing more human resource when it comes to inspection, but also to regulate the policies and procedures. So we can both play the part into that, not only the private or the government sectors. So both of us can take the part in improving health and safety.
Thank you so much, Alex. We really appreciate for that response. Maybe I go to Mr. Norman. We've seen some of the major accidents that has taken lives of people. The most recent, for example, we had the Kariakor accident. My question is, in the event of a major workplace accident, who should be really accountable?
Thanks, moderator. It's quite a big question because we are looking at who to ask for accountability. When it comes to accidents or incidents or a catastrophe in this case, where we are saying there are multiple fatalities or it's big. We have the company, or what we call a workplace in this case, with its top leadership, whom we can call executives, and we have the government who upholds the law, or we make sure that we follow the law. Yes, we have to look for a person to be accountable in this case, or the organization. It's not just an answer, but I'll provide and then just go down a little. In the first place, in the workplace, where the incident happened, or the catastrophe happened, what do we look at? Top management or executives are responsible, accountable, with all the commitments, with the decision-making capabilities to make sure that there's a safe workplace. So in this case, we've had an incident. They need to take that accountability. If it needs a PR, truly, the person speaking should be that person speaking out, because you are a workplace of 500 people. You've lost, let's say, 5 people through a fatality, and you're hiring a PR to speak on your behalf. You take accountability. You have to speak it, because people going home, if I'm an employee of that company A, and I'm going back to my wife or to my children, and it's appearing on the news, I'm also going to be asked, right? And if there's no accountability from the executive on top, speak through that. My wife or my family may maybe speak out and say that place is not a good place. And that's what I may call accountability, right? The law, the government, we've seen, let's say, if we have OSHA here in Tanzania, the big question, we've not identified which type of catastrophe. The question would be, is that place even recognizable? Is it registered? Has the team either ever gone to that place to look at whether there's infrastructure, whether the plant and equipment are good enough to provide? So there are many questions. But at the end of it, everyone has a part. And one minor, what we take as minor things, like, I'll give you an example. A person joins company A, he never got an induction, right? And no one cares, right? The next day, he's driving a company vehicle, he does a violation. If you look at those steps, those are either near misses or minor incidents, but in the long run, maybe they are transporting fuel along the road, the truck flips. The impact is not even within the company. You are affecting the community, you are affecting the people who will be burnt, maybe if it's fuel. And in such a case, if you go backwards and look, who takes the accountability? The company needs to vet their systems. You need to build systems where you trust that even if I call a person who sweeps in this company, he can tell me the basic. I think there was something I noticed a CEO was interviewing a person who is going to be doing just kitchen work. They walked to the kitchen and he asked me, tell me what's wrong with this kitchen. The person was like, looking at the statement, the background, he did not understand what even a hazard is. So all those gaps we look at. So that person may tell you that story of saying, I was interviewed by a CEO to just understand this part. So that tells you that culture, the build, where a CEO wants to know what happens from the bottom of the floor, is actually accountability. So we need to look at that angle. And collectively, if the government is doing the minor parts and the companies are doing the major parts, like I've seen ECOP here, I was lucky to work with Total as well. I know what it means to be inducted through the process. So it's important, but the company, the executives should be accountable where such an event happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Norman. A very simple question to my brother, Mr. Alex. Do you think accountability should also be going to the health and safety professionals for these recurring incidents?
Yes, it should be. Let me take maybe for the company. Yes, it should go to the health and safety professionals, but accountability mostly should go to the leadership team. Because when you are working in the environment where the leadership is not committed to safety, even a very experienced shake person cannot do anything. Because in order for that shake person to operate, they will need certain connection with the leadership in terms of approving of trainings, in terms of resources, doing etc. So for me, the most important thing is leadership commitment. Then now the flow will be very smooth for the HSE person.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Alex. So because of time, I'm told we have less than 5 minutes, so we need to conclude. I'm going to allow only one question from the floor. And if you can make it very short, I would really appreciate. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So mine is not a question, it's more or less of a contribution. My name is Peter from Solutions Tag. Thank you to, I didn't catch up your name correctly, but thank you for wonderful inputs. And I was real concerned when you asked if we are having the salesperson in here. And that's brought me to the memory because HSC is our business. So HSC practitioners like you sitting in here is our first point of contact normally. So in most of the cases, you go to HSC manager, for example, and then you find even the HSC manager is complaining that the management doesn't understand him or her whenever he's trying to present a solution to them. Now that brings me to my comment that being an HSC practitioner, like any other profession, HSC is our core business. And you doing a business, us doing a transportation business, for example, he has to, at some point, to lobby to make his things work on his side, yeah? So we as HSC practitioners, I think we have major things to be done, either from TOHASA level or at personal level as well. Being able to lobby, being able to convince, so that the decision makers from the government side to start with, even from the president, because particularly for this kind of a conference, I was expecting to see, the minister responsible with, occupational health to be around so that you can hear what is, practitioners are discussing. But I'm not so sure if they're around. I don't want to make much comment on that. But I think we need to make significant level of effort and lobbying to make sure that the HSC agenda is part and parcel of the decision makers' conversations. If we can afford to have it penetrated that level, then it will be even easier to get it implemented. That's the first part. The second part, at your workplaces now, you mentioned about being able to, to convince, to speak the business language with respect to HSC. So any business, as you mentioned before, it's about making profit. That's the definition of any business. So if you are not able to speak the business language, integrating it with the HSC requirement, it's quite next to impossible. And it's only when we can integrate HSC and business, it's when now we can get the management buy-in. you see Dr. Stance is mentioning the high level of commitment for eco project, for example, from the management. But it doesn't come from nowhere. I mean, you have to build a business case so that you get understood and it can make sense to people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that was well kept. I saw, maybe it's going to be the last person. I saw a hand from Steve. Yep.
Yeah, so Manyanda, just on the slide next to you there's a word that says standards. And just about everything, in my opinion, just about everything we do or use or have has an international or even a Tanzanian standard. This bottle of water, for example, has a TBS label on it. And if we abide by those standards from our procurement, our management, our owners, the procurement departments in our industries, and bought to those standards, used to those standards, and stuck to those standards, and the regulatory authorities audited and inspected to those standards, I think we would be much, much better off. PPE, for example. The procurement department is going to buy something that looks like PPE in a lot of cases. But it doesn't meet any standard whatsoever, and it just looks like it does. So that's my comment. If we stuck to our international and local standards and audited them, I think we'd go a long way to implementing safety standards and other standards in our industries.
I think that really is a well-kept, well-narrated details from Mr. Steve. I really appreciate for that comment. And because of time, I think we need to stop there because we still have two other presenters. Gentlemen, I really thank you for your input. We'll keep asking you some questions. And we're going to still use you guys for the webinars we're organizing. So thank you so much for now. If we can clap hands for them, please.
Sidhani kama yanatosha, tuongeze mengine mengi kwa ajili ya wadau wetu. Inapendeza sana. Tupate picha pamoja ili tuwe na kumbukumbu za kuweka. DJ, wapeleke. DJ kama vile nakuelewa ila fresh. Would love to get a smile from Mr. Kasengo. I'm not sure if that is the smile or is it just a serious business. Beautiful. Thank you very much. You can have your seat. Makofi mengi kwa ajili yao basi jamani. Asante. Happiness, what do you have for us as a next program?
Well, thank you very much. Coming up